Hello again. This is going to be yet another movie vlog, and this will be from the period beginning with July 8th until the 15th, July 15th. So I'm going to talk about the movies that I watched during that period of time. The first of which is The Raid Redemption. Now, this movie, I believe this movie is from Indonesia, and it's sort of garnered a relatively large cult following as of the last year or so. And this is essentially a balls to the wall action movie through and through. It's sort of like uh, I guess you could say it's John Woo esque, maybe like in the same vein as Hard Boiled. Now, the main idea, there's not really that much of a story involved in this film. Basically, this group of cops or of agents get basically are fall for a trap, and they end up going into this apartment building. And what happens is they get locked into the apartment building with all of these crazy gangsters, and all the residents work basically for this head gangster person, and the gangster person wants these intruders dead, basically. And so the movie just consists of the squad basically fighting and killing and shooting and getting shot constantly throughout the entire running time. And so essentially the movie is very short on plot and story, but if you're looking strictly for action, this film is absolutely phenomenal. The action sequences are almost breathtaking, and it's kind of difficult to articulate without actually watching the film. But to me, the action sequences were so realistic and so sort of intense that they almost seemed computer generated. Now they weren't, but they kind of gave off that feel just because they just seemed so outlandishly, ridiculously awesome. Now this movie was shot actually on like almost a consumer grade digital camera or digital film camera, and you don't really notice that, but nonetheless, it's still very impressive. And I just thought that that would be worth mentioning. And the budget was very low as well. I have no idea how they managed to shoot this film on like $1 million or $2 million budget with the equipment that they had. If you watch it, it looks absolutely phenomenal, and it's just a really great overall action film. That being said, as far as action films go, this would definitely get like a 4 out of 5, maybe even a 4.5 out of 5 from me. But to be honest, I didn't feel myself all that captivated by what was going on screen. Yes, the action sequences were insane, but for it being 80 or 90 minutes of just kind of pure action, I don't know, it's not really up my alley. So in general, I probably would give this 3.5. But if you want, or if you're looking for a kick-ass action movie, this would be the place to go because it's pretty awesome. The next one that I watched was Singles. Now, I've never seen Singles before, and it's been recommended to me several times. And it's this basically, it stars, well, this is firstly, Cameron Crowe directed this. You know, he directed Almost Famous, Say Anything, films like that, Jerry Maguire. And it stars Kiera Sedgwick, Matt Dillon, Jane Fonda? Bridget Fonda, I'm sorry. And this is basically one of those Generation X films that focuses on 20 somethings at a very difficult time in their lives, kind of a transitional period where they're dealing with kind of all the things that Generation Xers had to deal with during that period of their lives. And for those that know me, you'll know that I'm a huge sucker for pretty much anything Generation X. I myself would be considered probably a member of Generation Y, but there's still something to me that's very captivating about Generation Xers in that period of time from the late 80s to early 90s. And so naturally, I was very kind of attracted to this film and the setting and the environment and stuff like that. But to be perfect, oh, I've got it here. By the way, I should probably hold it up. But overall, for it being a Generation X film, it certainly wasn't the best. of that kind of genre or subgenre. I still liked the film, and I would say that I would probably recommend people watch it, particularly if you like films dealing with Generation Xers. But there are other films like Reality Bites that I think that I like a little bit more than this one, that deal kind of with the same subject matter. But still, I think that it was fun. It was entertaining to see kind of Matt Dillon be this kind of metal rock star guy. That was entertaining. And Bridget Fonda was pretty charming in this as well. But I think I would probably give this one 3.5 too. So pretty good, but not the best of its kind. The next one, which was also recommended to me several times by several people, is Jeff Who Lives at Home. Now, this just came out last year, and I already forget the names of the two people who star in it. I shouldn't because they're very well known. But judging by the people that or that star in this movie, you would think that it's going to be something that it's not. It stars one of the guys starred in Cedar Rapids, and then another one starred in Knocked Up and I Love You Man. I think that he starred in that one as well. I just can't think of his name. But you would think that it's going to be a sort of a gross out kind of sex comedy or something like that, hard R comedy. But you really do not get that at all with this film. It's more of a sort of, it's definitely an independent film, and it's got a very independent style to it. But kind of like Everything Must Go, it kind of reminded me of that in terms of not so much a subject matter, but just the way it was shot and the story, the way the story developed, and so forth. But I don't really want to go into too much detail about the plot. All that I'll really say is that the main character lives at home, his name's Jeff. He lives at home, and he basically ends up he's kind of like a bum. He's early 30s, something like that. He ends up having to go out, and then when he goes out, he ends up having kind of all these weird adventures that are kind of interconnected, and then they end up actually leading to something in the end. And that's pretty much all that I'll say. The ending is not entirely predictable, but still, it's kind of one of those independent-esque cliche endings that you could probably detect coming. But still, needless to say, I like the movie quite a bit, and I would say that I would definitely recommend checking it out. I think that I would give this one something like 3.5, 3.75, close to a 4, but not quite a 4. People keep saying that I give 3.5s and 3.75 is too much, but it just so happens that that's like an average or slightly above average rating, which a lot of the films that I watch tend to be in the realm of. So there's that. The next one that I watched, and this is going to be from Friday the 13th. So you can imagine what kind of film I watched during that period or on that day. But it wasn't Friday the 13th. That's not what I watched. I actually ended up watching two films, Child's Play and The Woman. I've got Child's Play here, and I don't have The Woman on me, but I'll talk about it anyway. So I decided to watch these two films primarily because they were on TV, even though I had the DVD of one of them anyway. And I'm not a huge fan of the Friday the 13th series to begin with, so I figured if I was watching something horror, it would just do fine anyway. But anyway, as I was saying, Child's Play is the first one that I watched. Now, I love Child's Play. I love Child's Play. I've seen this many times, but I love Child's Play. I love the Child's Play series. I actually think that having rewatched this again, I'm slowly beginning to realize that Child's Play is probably one of my favorite horror series of all time. I actually think that the second one might even be the best out of the whole series, but after watching the first one again, I think that it's probably about on par because I really love this one too. The third one is really good. The Seed of Chucky, Bride of Chucky, I'm not a huge fan of those. I felt like they obviously took it in a different direction, probably because of the time gap between the third and the fourth. But anyway, this film is awesome. I think everyone knows the basic story behind Child's Play. A doll, the good guy doll, ends up getting possessed by the spirit of Charles Lee Ray, and basically the doll becomes homicidal. He wants revenge on the people that have wronged him in his past life, and he ends up wanting to possess and take over the body of Andy, who is the kid that he was introduced to. This film, like I said, awesome. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Really good special effects. Animatronics are really cool. The way that they intertwine animatronics kind of with actors, like I think that they might have used either child actors or dwarf actors, I'm not sure, but they do a really good job of intermixing and intertwining those types of footage to really bring life to the doll, Chucky. And it's shot really well too. If you actually watch it, the first and the second one, the way that they frame certain shots, it's actually really cool, and I definitely recommend looking a little bit further into it the next time you're watching it. Next one is The Woman. I don't have the DVD, but this is the movie released last year. It kind of caused an uproar to some extent in the horror community, or at least or in one of the screenings that it was in. This is a Lucky McKee film. He directed May, The Woods, some other stuff. And this stars Angela Bettis and other people that I'm not sure of. I don't know their names, but the lead character, the lead male, he's pretty much the protagonist. But that guy is absolutely awesome in this. And when I say awesome, I don't mean like you love him, but he does such a good job of playing kind of the misogynistic, overbearing husband that you end up hating him just so strongly that you want to jump in the screen and just start pounding him. A phenomenal job that he did. I don't even know what else he was in, but he needs to be in more stuff because he nailed this role big time. I don't want to talk too much about this because the plot gradually develops and there ends up being this awesome reveal in the last half hour, which is absolutely amazing. Needless to say, I really like this movie a lot. I won't, again, go into too much detail, but basically, this guy that I'm talking about, he captures this feral woman in the woods one day, and then he tries to tame her, and he's also got this family. He's got a son, a daughter, wife. You end up gradually learning that things aren't as awesome as they might seem in this family, and there's certainly a lot of turmoil going on underneath the surface. And he essentially they try to tame and make the woman such that she, again, fits in with sort of the gender roles that have been instantiated essentially over time, right? So there obviously, as you might be able to detect, there's a lot of commentary going on here, a lot of feminist commentary. It's definitely a feminist statement, the entire film is. Again, I won't go into too much detail, but needless to say, once again, I like this movie a lot. I highly recommend it, not for the faint at heart. It's probably going to offend some viewers if you watch it, but I would probably give this a 4 out of 5. This is the second time that I watched it, and I liked it even more this time. The last one that I watched is the worst one that I watched as well. Frequently asked questions about time travel. I didn't know anything about this, but I love time travel movies. I love sci-fi. So I went into it with high expectations, came out of it very angry, let down, because it just was not very good. Not Angela Bettis, she's in the last movie. What is the girl's name? I can't remember her name. She starred in the Scary Movie film now. I'm having a difficult time with names today. But she was the only well-known person that I could recall. Anyway, this movie basically is just supposed to kind of to some extent satirize the time travel subgenre. And to me, if I were to explain it using an analogy, this kind of is like what Shaun of the Dead was to zombie movies. This movie tried to be what Shaun of the Dead was to zombie movies. It tried to do what Shaun of the Dead did with zombie movies with time travel movies, and it doesn't do a very good job. It kind of thinks that it's really clever and really awesome, and so funny, and it just really isn't. It generally falls flat on its face. There were a few instances that were kind of funny, a few scenes here and there, but overall, definitely not recommended. Don't watch the movie. You don't really need to waste your time. 2.5 stars for me. Again, I don't know. There were parts that were clever, but don't watch it unless you're absolutely insistent and unless you're crazy about time travel. But even then, you might get angry because it doesn't do a very good job with the subject matter. So that's all that I watched this week. Stay tuned. Next week it might be a little bit early because I have something to do. But thanks for watching, and I shall see you soon.